welcome to my final video on missing 411 Eastern United States. Oh man, what a journey it has been. You know, back when I wrote my first script for this series, and I was really just looking into the Dennis Martin case, I had no idea that would consume so much of my time. Hours have been poured into research, recording, and editing these videos. I realized that in the end, so far they're just PowerPoints with voiceover, like some sort of lecture. But that is entirely due to me being poor, busy, and having other obligations. As such, about 90% of the time I've put into this project has been research. While I am admittedly worried that that will make people less likely to sit through the videos and obtain the information that I'm trying to disseminate, I know that it's out there for the people who really want it. Over time, as hopefully you've noticed, I've gained access to some more sophisticated video making tools, and I hope that moving forward, the quality will continue to improve. My original point wasn't to go after David Paulides or even to criticize the work in general, because I had gone into it with the impression that while a case here or there, such as the Dennis Martin one, might be incorrect, overall things would be pretty on the level. Instead, I found myself getting more frustrated and angry the more I got into researching these cases, because I kept finding information that was not available in the book. Rather than the 1 in 5 that I expected to find additional details on that changed how I viewed a case, it was the opposite. 4 in 5 cases had additional important information that I was able to find. I had a commenter recently ask if there was a way that I could show that this information was available to Paulides at the time when he was researching his book. The short answer is no, because I don't know what tools Paulides uses to dig up his sources. In fact, he very seldom cites any particular source. When he does, it's usually a newspaper from the time, which makes me believe that he has some sort of subscription to an archive. These archives are adding more papers all the time, so maybe it's possible that he didn't have the information to hand. That being said, when Paulides does cite a source on more than one occasion, I've been able to locate the newspaper that he quoted in the book. I've looked up the newspaper and I find additional information in the very article that is quoted that I personally think changes how you would look at a case. It has happened a few times in the Eastern United States series, and I think I pointed out most of the time when that did happen. Also, I've heard the debate before about the morality of discussing true crime and monetizing it, since essentially that means that people are profiting off of the death and misfortune of others. I've been on the fence about it myself because I'm one of those people who enjoys listening to true crime content. I also understand the amount of time and resources that you have to devote into making that sort of content, and so I can understand that people may want to be compensated for their efforts. What I truly can't understand, however, is the monetizing of missing and dead people, mostly children, that aren't even presented correctly. As I said, I understand people being drawn to the mysterious, but creating that air of mystery by making a false narrative just seems wrong to me personally. Am I saying that Paulides intentionally creates this false narrative? Well, the whole point of my video series has been to allow people to decide for themselves what they think. I also want to address a comment that I received early on, which is that I was somehow copying David Paulides by making these videos. That is the furthest thing from what I'm trying to do, and in fact I'm advocating against simply copying his work. Please, if you are a content creator and you plan on covering missing 411 cases, please, for the sake of these missing people and their families, do your own research before presenting this information to other people. In my own opinion, based on my research and experience with Eastern United States, missing 411 should not be taken at face value. If you want to use it as a starting point, fine, but please back up your information with additional sources. If you fail to correct the information before you present it, there is a certain amount of responsibility that hangs on your head for using missing 411 as your only source. For that matter, using any source that does not, in turn, cite specific sources and make them available to you. Thankfully, I have noticed that here on YouTube, there has been a greater trend of people citing sources in the description lately. I hope that that trend continues. If you're curious about how I do this sort of research, or what I did in particular, newspapers.com is an excellent source, and the search engine is really easy to use. It is not the only one out there, but it's the one that I subscribe to. You can try and get by without a subscription, but it's tough to rely on just the text recognition that they use. It's a little bit spotty. I'd recommend that you just get a subscription to their service if you're at all interested in researching things like this. And no, this isn't sponsored. While I did a bunch of time researching, it's not like it's hard to do, it just takes time. I think I only hit around 5 walls where I couldn't locate the information online using the tools readily available to everyone. Occasionally, sites like Find a Grave and Ancestry provided me with some additional information as well. Again, it's not hard, just time consuming. Occasionally you get some real gems looking into these cases too, where the reality is actually way more interesting than how it's presented in the book. As for how I do this, these videos are just captured with OBS and put together in, well, originally I used Windows Video Editor. Audio was captured separately by Audacity and then edited down. Then I would play that locally while recording the video on screen to merge the audio and video together. I knew at the time that there were better ways of doing it, but that way was free. About halfway through the series, I changed to Adobe Premiere Pro, and that made the editing process way easier. If you like the series and would like to see more, I'm already starting research into missing 411 Western United States. We'll find out if it follows the same trend as the Eastern US book. Research takes a little bit of time, so don't think that I'll be able to publish every week since I do have a full-time job as well. If you'd like to see an examination of a different book or publication, I am up to suggestions for that as well. Just leave them in the comments below. It might be nice to have some non-missing 411 things to research for a change. I will also be taking a lot more time in the editing process of the videos to make them more aesthetically pleasing. Hopefully that will hit a wider range of people so that the information is disseminated a little bit better. As such, that will also delay the videos coming out a little bit. I hope that it is worth it. Thank you very much for sticking with me through all of this. Until next time, take care.